Hello and welcome back to the Spotlight Games podcast. Today, I'll be sharing my thoughts on Dungeons of Hinterberg. The Halo TV series has been canceled, and you guessed it, the industry has more layoffs because this industry fucking blows. Joining me, as always, my sweet dumpster boy, Cayman Darty. Cayman, welcome back to the show. How you doing?
Patrick.
Cayman.
I'm doing all right, buddy. All right, buddy.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
Cayman, it feels, I don't know if you agree with me. I'm interested to hear your thoughts.
Tell me.
Sometimes in
Sure.
between an episode, like last week we recorded here
Yeah.
live with our new friend Maury, aka John, aka GWT Maury.
Mm.
But that feels like a month ago to me.
It does.
I feel like we haven't talked in so long.
It's been weird. Well, we've both been busy people.
Well, we have been busy people, but like I feel like this podcast is the first podcast we've done in a fortnight.
It does feel. It feels like there's an energy in the air,
It
Patrick.
does. And I don't know if it's a sensual energy. I don't know if it's a
Patrick, when is the energy not sensual?
what is you and me, brother? I don't know. But all I want to say, and then we can end the episode.
Okay.
I love you, and I'm glad we're talking about video games.
I love you too, man.
All right, that's our show. Thanks for being here. Follow us, blah, blah, blah. No, I'm just kidding. We have a lot of video games stuff to talk about because this is the Spotlight Games podcast where each week we spotlight the latest and the greatest in the world of video games. You can get it by subscribing to our YouTube channel at Spotlight Games Pod or by searching for Spotlight Games in your favorite podcast app. And hey, you can be on the show by tuning in as we record live Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern time right here on twitch.tv/Spotlight Games Pod. So be sure to follow us there so that you're notified when we go live so you can be part of the conversation. Tomorrow night, last week when it felt like we recorded a month ago came in, I was like, tomorrow night we're back. Last of Us stream happening. And then life happened. Tomorrow, I don't think any life is going to get in our way. I do believe that tomorrow night we are returning with The Last of Us Part 2 with Rose right here, 8 p.m. And like I said, like I always say, so many VODs on our YouTube channel. If you want to catch up, go there. But be here tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern time for a little T-Lu 2 with me and Rose. And finally, before we jump into the show, join the Discord.
Join the Discord. Patrick.
Join the Discord, people. We got a fun little Discord where we discuss what we're playing and generally goof off together about video games. So if that sounds like something you'd like, click the link in the description. Click the link in the socials or in the bios of our socials. Join the Discord. In fact, we're going to be featuring a little content from the Discord on today's episode in our community reviews channel. That's going to come up later today. So stay tuned for that. But Cayman, we're here.
Yeah.
At Spotlight Games.
It's true.
We talk about a couple things. One of those things is video games, specifically what we've been playing.
Yeah.
And that's normally how we start our shows here. Are you ready to start the show with a little what we've been playing?
Patrick, I think I am.
Let's go. Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You know what? I'll start with one of the games I've been playing just because we talked about this last week. I'll give a couple more opinions.
Yeah.
EA College Football 25.
Okay.
I feel like I don't even know if reviews have even technically dropped yet. So like, who fucking knows what people think, like critic wise?
Yeah.
The fans seem to love it. All I'm seeing on Twitter at any given point, all I'm seeing on Instagram at any given point is just EA Football 20, College Football 25.
People seem really happy. I think I've seen like 2 people be negative about this game.
Yeah. And there's some issues that I think based on what EA has put out as like patch number 1.
Yeah.
From what I can tell, a lot of the complaints, some of the bigger complaints I think are going to be patched up there. One of them specifically is like the difficulty. Because there's such a wild jump between going from freshman to varsity, which is like easy mode to like normal mode.
Yeah.
A wild jump in difficulty. And I feel like according to what they've posted, it's like, yes, we are addressing that there's some weird balancing issues, and we're getting those. There's some other quality of life things and some other bugs that I personally have not seen a single one of that are going to be fixed with this upcoming patch. And then EA also said there's a bunch of other patches on the way. So there's more things that'll be updated, changed, and whatnot. So I have not, still to this day, have not touched Road to Glory.
Okay.
It's the next mode I plan on playing is Road to Glory. Right now, I'm still stuck in Dynasty mode, just biz bopping. Just made to the college football playoffs as the number 1 seed over number 2 seed Michigan, Patrick.
Sure.
It looked the game's fucking great.
Sure.
And there's this, I think the thing is like, even if you like take into consideration the difficulty portion where it can just feel, I don't know, at times it feels rubber bandy in a way that like I feel like it's the only way to kind of explain it is like you will be doing too well and the computer needs to pull a couple things to like make it feel closer so it feels like artificially inflated difficulty, not like I'm playing poorly.
Yeah.
The computer is trying to do things like fumble, like a player who never fumbles for the first time the entire season,
Sure.
or a roughing the punter penalty that like sets them up with a fresh first down, things like that just when you're not even controlling that character feel a bit weird. That being said, I haven't had this level of exhilaration since like Elden Ring. That feeling, which is wild to say. There's this feeling, and if you've played Souls games, you know the exact feeling where you defeat an enemy and you're just like, oh, like the sweat's dripping off of you and you're just fucking losing it. Like there's moments in this game, and I think this is when the game excels the most, is when you have those moments.
Sure.
Like for me, it's the SEC championship game against Texas A&M. I lead my team on a game-winning drive. I'm hooping, hollering, getting all up and excited. My wife's sitting next to me, just confused as to why I'm happy. And I'm like, there's that feeling. And part of me is like, hey, make the easy difficulty harder. Keep varsity the way it is. Maybe fix some of the rubber bandy shit, but like, I will say I do actually bump up to even All-American when I play scrub teams, because even then scrub teams, you definitely makes you feel like there's no challenge there.
Sure.
And the game kind of wants you to do that too. It's just like normal college football. You have a scrub team that you're going to put up 70 points against. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
So I'll even bump up then to All-American just to get like a little bit of juice from it. But ultimately though, I'm really enjoying my time here. I think the next iteration of the game is going to be even better, which is exciting. But like this right here is really all I want right now. And very happy with it. But
that's
I'm going to stop there. I got one more game, Patrick, but I want to talk to you about what you've been playing.
Sure. Well, before we do that, Cayman,
yeah,
we have some allegations in the chat that I'd like to address. Cognitive Clips, friend of the show, says, this is in regards to what you said about you haven't touched Road to Glory yet. He said, bet if they named it Road to Glory Hole, he'd be all over it. SMH.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds more apropos.
Yeah. Okay. I just wanted to, I wasn't sure if that's something that.
What are you going to say? What are you like talking to me? And you think that I wouldn't be like that? I'm an honest guy.
Yeah. Oh, sure. You're the most honest guy now. Here's the other thing. The last thing on this game before we jump into, and I'm going to give you a choice. We're going to do a little make your own adventure here.
Okay.
This is a message to anyone that leaves a Google review. Step up the game for College Football 25. I've been scrolling this whole time trying to find a good, fun review to share. They're all boring.
Look, is that a bad thing for a game like this?
I mean, you would think based on some of these reviews that this game is like the cause of racism. Like the people are so upset about this game. It's like, how are you this upset about a college football game? Like you're acting like this game is pure evil based on some of these, but
I want
a lot of 1 stars.
Anything good in there that's
not
like
really. That's the
bad,
thing.
like it did cause cancer.
People are basically just saying that like EA fucked it up, like that no one's having a good time having fun with their reviews. And so I'm here to say, do better, internet.
Right. Get
spicier. But they're not always gonna be mini game good. I forget what the guy said a few weeks ago on the Google review feature, but Cayman, this is a choose your own adventure. Do you want to hear about something good or something bad first? Because I have 2 games to report on, 2 games that I have not talked about my experience on this podcast yet. 1 new game, 1 old game, 1 good, 1 bad. What do you want to hear first?
I want to start with the good because I think I know where the bad is going to lead,
You
and I
do.
really want to see you explode, not have to come down from that high for
Great,
a high.
great. So yeah, let's start with Dungeons of Hinterberg. So this game came out last week. It's on Game Pass. It's on PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass. Excuse me, I forget who published it, but this is a really fucking cool game. Like I played the demo with Steam Next Fest a few weeks back, and I was like, you know what, I'm having fun with this. It didn't necessarily blow me away, but I was like, because this game, when they first showed it, I forget where exactly this was, whether it was like an SGF, whether it was a Game Awards, I forget where, but it was in an Xbox conference at some point.
Yes.
And it immediately grabbed me. Like the art style looks really cool because they didn't really show a ton of the gameplay then. It just like was like vibes. It was like, I'm all about this vibe, whatever it is. Didn't hear about it for a long time. And then the demo came out and I was like, oh, I did have a good time with the demo, but I was based on my initial like hype from that first announcement. I was like, the demo's fun, and I am going to play it when it comes out, but I don't know that this is going to be anything special. I am shocked to report that this game is currently, as of July 23rd, shortlist game of the year contender for me.
Really?
I am having so much fun with Dungeons of Hinterberg. And so the basic premise of the game, you play as this girl, Louisa, and Louisa is on vacation. She has left her life in Australia because she is burnt out. She needs a break. She's a lawyer, like a junior lawyer, and is just like really kind of beat down with the world and like needs a reset. And in this world, this fictional world, there is a place called Hinterberg, and Hinterberg is like a vacation destination because it's like in the like what seems like the Alps. I don't know that they necessarily say exactly where it is, but at some point in recent history, in the mountains of Hinterberg, these like dungeons appeared, and like all of a sudden within the like perimeter of this city, like magic exists, and like all of these kind of weird things have happened in this place, and it's now become like a place for tourism. So people come specifically with the intention of, you know, I'm a slayer, I'm a monster slayer, I'm gonna go complete all of the dungeons of Hinterberg. And like there are people who do it professionally, there's like influencers that do it, like they've kind of created this culture around this thing. And so the gameplay is, you wake up, you pick one of the 4 mountains to go to, and within each of those mountains is like this kind of open area, an open zone, and within the open zone might be anywhere from like 5 to 8 dungeons of varying difficulty. And as you go through the game, you level up your gear, you get better swords, you get better armor, and now you can go to like a 5-star dungeon or an 8-star.
We talking roguelike?
I don't believe so. I think these are
built
completely designed. I don't believe they are procedurally generated. And when you die, like you respawn.
Okay. So not like a Souls like.
No Souls like stuff. No, no roguelike stuff. It is just like an action game, essentially. And what really surprises me about this game, the more that I play it, is how like deep it goes in its systems. This game is kind of like what if Persona was like a dungeon crawler in a way. Like there's a whole system where you make friends in the village and you spend time with them, and like time matters in Hinterberg, where like in the afternoon you can either go in a dungeon or you can like relax and like kind of focus on lifting your relaxation, because similar to Persona, there are certain things that you can unlock when like one of your 4 main skills or one of your 4 main like attributes gets to a certain level. It's renown, it's familiarity, it's relaxation and amusement, or like the 4 things. And like you can watch TV at night and you can raise your amusement, but the next day like your health's going to be a little lower because you stayed up late. So like there's all these kind of like Persona-esque things of choosing what to do with your time to benefit whatever, whether it's a relationship with someone, you level up relationships, you get perks, you unlock new, like more health, you might unlock like a certain special move, you might unlock the ability to upgrade your sword, the ability to upgrade your armor, like all sorts of different things you can unlock by investing time in different people around Hinterberg.
So tell me, is there you keep mentioning Persona a lot, so I am curious. One of Persona's big things, obviously, is the timeline.
Yeah.
You have like there's a expiration date on most, if not all, of the dungeons or whatever areas that you're in.
Yeah.
You have an expiration date. The game itself has an expiration date of like you have to complete everything you need to do within X timeline,
Yeah.
or you fail the game. And because of that, it obviously adds the element of strategy of where you're spending a lot of your time, so you can like move that. Does Dungeons of Hinterberg include something?
It doesn't seem to yet. It kind of
Okay.
seems like it's a little more casual than the way that Persona does it. However, there are certain story beats that seem to be happening on specific days. I won't necessarily
Okay.
go into like the details of the story beats, but there is like a through line happening that is affecting the town of Hinterberg. There's like, so I do wonder if there are certain points where like, oh, I can't talk to that person anymore, or oh,
Ooh,
I
okay.
can't go to that.
Yeah.
I don't know yet. I haven't gotten that far, but I have put about 13 hours into the game, so I've played a good amount of it. I think I'm on day like 16 or 17. But similar to Persona, even though it doesn't have that specific aspect of it, it is like kind of like a calendar, like day 17 morning, day 17 night, like day 17 evening. Like there's like certain, you can kind of track where you are in the timeline
Sure.
in that way. But there doesn't seem to be like a, on August 16th, the school year's over and you'll die if you
Right.
don't, like there doesn't seem to be
You don't
that
kill
kind of high
God
stakes.
by August 16th.
Right.
You're
Right.
good. Yeah.
But so yeah, so not necessarily, but I kind of like that it's like a little more
Mhm.
casual in that aspect. And then another kind of thing that keeps surprising me, each of the mountains that the various dungeons take place in,
Mhm.
all have their own, not art style, but like their own aesthetic. One is
Gotcha.
like very like fall, one is like kind of like a peak of a mountain, very snowy. And within each of these zones where all of these dungeons are, you have different powers. So like
Okay.
one, I won't go into all of the details because it's kind of fun to discover what the new power is at the new mountain. But like the first one, your left bumper power is you drop this big metal ball that can
Mhm.
explode, and then the RB power, it's always a left bumper or right bumper, and the right bumper power is like you throw like the same metal ball, but it's smaller and it's on a chain, and then you can pull the chain back. So it's kind of like a projectile in a way.
Okay.
And in combat, you can use that to like bring enemies toward you, and then you can use your left bumper power to drop a bomb on them and blow them up, and like it can kind of help expedite the process of killing all these different baddies. And you also unlock like special abilities and things like that. So there's like the combat is surprisingly dense, which is cool. And then each of the areas as well seem to keep like injecting this like little spice to the gameplay, where like in one of them there's this whole section where you're in like an isometric area where, so like kind of like over the top at an angle,
Yeah. Yeah.
and there are certain things like obstacles and like it has that fixed perspective of an isometric view. And like there's another one where it puts you in a 2D plane, and there's like, so
Oh,
it
that's
keeps
cool.
like, it keeps kind
Yeah.
of every time I seem to turn around, there's like a new gameplay element that they're adding. And it's just like I keep being blown away by how inventive and like uh new the game keeps feeling as I go on, because I feel like knowing how so many of these games kind of work in the industry of like pretty simple premise, pretty simple combat, pretty simple setting. You're just going to do that for 25 hours.
Sure.
And I like that they're like, after 5 hours, here's a new power. After
Yeah.
10 hours, here's another new power. And here's another new mechanic. And here's
And
this
these
whole other like unlockable thing. It's cool.
right. And these powers like are specific to these like biomes.
Essentially, yeah. So when I go
Okay.
back to the first area, because
Mhm.
now my gear is a level 5, so
So
I
you
can
can
go.
right. You can
I
still like there's like okay, so I guess my question is
Yeah.
when you're in like the biomes, do they as you're like going through each one, are they like popping up new dungeons that you can tackle in older biomes to bring you back? Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Cool,
yeah.
cool.
So each of them, like when you start, it also has this fun thing that like speaks to me very specifically. When we went to Japan, there's this like thing with tourism in Japan where you go to like various temples around the country, and at any temple there will be someone that will give you a stamp. It's like a fun thing. Like so, like
Mhm.
people will buy these like notebooks as a way of You go there, you get the stamp, and then like later you can go through and like sometimes they'll give you a little thing to put with it. So it's like a little like a brochure kind of thing. So
That's
you can
cool.
like, oh, this is cool. This was the Sensoji temple or whatever. The game does that where like each of the temple or each of the dungeons, when you exit it, you get a stamp.
Mhm.
And so with that, you start with your stamp book. And so you can see like, okay, the first place has 12 dungeons. 2 of them are level 1, 2 of them are level 2, so on and so forth. So that you know, okay, I've finished. I'm only a level 2 right now. So I've gotten through level 2. The next dungeon in this mountain is a level 5. So the game is telling me, go away from here for a bit, go to the next mountain, level up, get better gear, get better swords, and then come back and do and like kind of rinse and repeat. So it's like it does
Gotcha.
it's paced really well where I'm not spending 7 straight hours in the first biome. I'm going to spend maybe 2, and then I'm going to go to the second one, and then the third one, and then the fourth one. And now I'm going to go back to the first one because my gear is that much better. And
Right.
now the dungeon's a lot harder, and like there's more puzzles, and they expect you to understand certain puzzle mechanics and certain just like game mechanics by the time you're back. So then like the dungeon is kind of elevated its experience by that point. I'm like, I'm always kind of surprised at how deep this game goes for a game
Right.
that at a glance didn't quite seem like that. It kind of seemed like it was
Sure.
going to be a simple experience. All that to be said, though, there are a couple qualms I have,
Mhm.
and most of it seems to be shit. What's the word? My brain just erased everything. Performance related.
Okay.
Certain powers, like there's this one, the very first, they call it an attack conduit. The first attack conduit you get, it's like you press the right trigger and I think X or square, whatever, and you like circle around a bunch. It's like a spin attack,
Yeah.
but you'll spin around for like 8 seconds, and you can like with the left stick you'll control where you're spinning. So you can just kind of like circle around people, try to knock out as many people as you can. Literally every single time I've ever done that, the game drops like 25 frames. Like that specific attack move just can't keep up with the frame rate. There's also a thing that happens where anytime you open the map,
Mhm.
it's as if your HDMI cord has been unplugged for a second. All sound goes
Goes-
away, goes completely black. But like, there's like music happening, there's ambiance happening, and it'll be completely cut out. And then it pops in, everything pops back in. And like, I've tested it. It's not a me problem. Like, this is the game. And like, sometimes you'll be going through menus and all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, this one it's going to like do the hard black. And then it comes back in. Like I wanted to look at like what sword to switch to. And all of a sudden I lost all sound and visual for like 2 seconds. And it sounds like a little thing, but it's like so annoying. It's like, it kind of grinds my gears like it almost gives like it might sound dramatic, but like that like fight or flight response, like where it's like
Okay.
it bothers me so much every time.
Patrick, have you or is there some like hidden trauma that you have about like just like black screens where you
Maybe,
like did Louise punish you as a child, just make you stare at like a turned off TV for 3 hours?
maybe,
Raw dog
maybe some therapy will bring that out of me because I don't
They're
remember.
dude, they're gonna make you go to the attic and open a box in your therapy, and in that
Yeah,
box is gonna be some childhood trauma
it's
stuff.
gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. Cognitive Clips in the chat says, weirdly, I've had that blackout issue on my Switch. Not played this game, but it happens on multiple different games. And so yeah, I don't know. It might just be like the system, like there's just too much to process for a moment, so it just
Right.
like skips a beat. I think this is the first time I've ever had this issue,
Mhm.
but it's like literally every single time I open up the map, it happens. It's like and those are kind of my only 2 problems. So like at the end of the day, I
Right.
feel like those are 2 pretty good problems to have if like everything else I'm experiencing has been like really lovely. But
Mhm.
I do hope that like within the next few weeks, there's some patches that can come out to kind of smooth out some of that experience because I don't buy that that is a design choice. That must
Sure.
be and like I have the Series X, so like it shouldn't be an Xbox problem. Like I feel like it's probably the game.
Mhm.
And there's just like a few little things like that too that I wish the game gave you a little more agency over, with the way that it presents itself. Like I
Sure.
wish that I could, because I'm playing on performance mode, so I would think like that would be the one where the attack move doesn't ever drop the frame rate because that's the one that's
right.
benefiting frame rate.
I kind of want you to try it in quality or not
Oh, that's a good
quality,
idea.
and then see if it like drops dramatically, and if so, like how many more can we go? Well, how low can we go?
How low can we go? One other really, really minor thing that I hope that they eventually give you the option of, whenever people talk, it's one of those games where like no one actually talks. It's just text boxes. But whenever they talk, there's this bubble noise that happens.
Ugh,
It's like
hate
this
that
popping
shit.
noise. And that's another thing where it's like, I wish, and I tried, I went in the settings, like the audio settings to see, is there a slider for like dialogue or something? And there wasn't. So anytime there's dialogue, like sometimes I play the game on mute because some of these like auditory things just bother me so much.
Yeah.
But the good news is, because of like the way that the gameplay goes, perfect podcast game. Like whenever you're in a dungeon, pop on a podcast, and each dungeon lasts like normally between 20 and 35 minutes. So it's like I can knock out a good chunk of an episode of a podcast anytime I'm doing a dungeon, which I love those kinds of games. I don't always flock to that kind of a game where I can multitask, but it's been nice being able to multitask with Dungeons of Hinterberg.
Patrick,
Yes.
what if I told you I have a game for you? I don't know. It might have audio issues.
Yeah.
But music.
Ooh.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
So I went dumpster diving. I think it should be the thing I do. Like I have a main game and then a backup game that costs
I think
$2.
absolutely.
I think that's like a new segment, guys. So Dumpster Boy went dumpster diving during the PlayStation Summer Sale. This new thing I've started up doing lately of like when a big sale goes on, going into like the indies and trying to find games under $5. Games that I might have seen before in passing, games that just look interesting and like a $2, $3 price point is very easy for me to say, yes, I'm going to play instead of like 20, 30 bucks, So went through, picked up some games.
Yeah.
Started one up today called Submerged.
Yeah, you did.
Hidden Depths.
Yeah, you did.
Okay. The game sounds like a horror game. Shockingly, it is definitely not.
It really does sound like it would be a horror game.
Right. It sounds like something that you would get from one of those, what are those games where all you did amnesia games, like Amnesia, Hidden Depths. Sounds like
where you only can hide, like there's no combat.
Right. That sounds like it would be like the proto DLC for Bunker, Hidden Depths. So basically the story here, and this is a very loose interpretation when I say story. Basically you're a brother and sister, and there's this like it's water world. So Kevin Costner's water world, the earth is seemingly destroyed by something. Everything's flooded and there's a lot of remnants of buildings and whatnot. It is covered in this like black goo.
Okay.
And you play as both the brother and sister. The sister has a superpower where she has like plants growing up her arm. And when she basically can wipe out this black goo by like finding an orb and transporting it from one place to the other, heals it. It's a very simple idea. So you're just exploring this world from what I can tell. There's no block offs where like you can just go wherever you want right off the bat and kind of uncover each area in each little hub to try to clear this black goo up. Like as you go, right?
Yeah.
And there's a story, and I like the way that this kind of plays out. It's a very interesting idea. It reminds me a lot of Tunic, where you will collect diary entries throughout the game.
Cool.
And that tells you like the lore of the world, but they translate. So like you don't know what language that they're speaking because they speak a different language. So you'll get like a subtitle. It'll be like you'll have to play as the brother, and he'll be like, my sister has explored too much. I need to give her a break. You get like a little like subtitle like that every once in a while, but everything else is like they're talking to each other in a different language. You don't know what they're saying, but like the lore itself in the story is uncovered through finding pieces of these diaries.
Cool.
The game, from what I can tell, is a lot of collectibles where the bulk is you complete like a pseudo puzzle. I haven't found anything that's felt puzzly to the point of like noggin scratching. I always kind of knew where I'm going.
Sure.
The thing is like the collectibles on each little area are hidden well enough that like they almost become their own little puzzle. Like where can I find them?
Cool.
Like as I'm searching the collectibles, like I said, lore, but you can also get collectibles that'll change the way your ship looks. clothing, hairstyles, things of that nature. It's just a cool little game, and the music is that like perfect cozy game, orchestral, just feels good. Reminds me a lot of Omno, like Omno soundtrack. Just like feels really good, really light. You're just exploring. You'll have storms every once in a while, but it doesn't like change the coziness of the game of like just being able to walk around, boating around this water world, getting all over the place. It's very cool.
It looks cool.
Apparently it's only a few hours long, which I think is great. And that's kind of what I look for in these games too, is like, I don't want, this is going to be a supplementary thing I do on the side on my portal, most likely in between when I'm like, I need to give my heart a break from all the stress I'm putting it under with college football. I want to play something a little bit more low key. Like, I think that's great. I think the price point's great. The link's great. I will repeat more when I drop my final review because I'm only like at 2 hours into like a few hour games. I'm like halfway there. So I'll give more when I get the final, like when I do beat the game. But ultimately, though, if you got PlayStation, like I said, it's like $2 or $3 right now. I'm having enough fun that I can recommend it to be like, hey, if the game just continues to do this exact thing for the remainder, then I will be very happy with it and would highly recommend. So check out that game. We've never heard of it.
Like something that I would fuck with for sure.
Right. And I think it's a game like Rose, and Sydney was watching me play, and Sydney was like, I think I want to try this out too. Yeah, look, I think it's cool. So go do that. Go play games you've never heard of before. Sometimes they're good.
I totally agree. Cayman, I'll tell you, I guarantee that Submerged Hidden Depths is so much fucking better than Justice League or Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. This game fucking sucks, man. So this game was free last week on Prime Day, and I've loved Rocksteady games in the past. I've 100%ed multiple, I think actually maybe all of the mainline Arkham games. I didn't for Arkham Origins, but I'm pretty sure I 100%ed the other three.
Platinumed a few.
I definitely platinumed Arkham Knight. I can't remember if I platinumed Arkham City, but I think I also platinumed Arkham Asylum. I forget, but like back in the day, the Arkham games were like some of my favorite. Like they would have been in a top 10, top 5 list for me. I don't know that any of them make.
I want to say Arkham City for you has been for a long time in the top 10 of your favorite games of all time.
It for a while it was. I think it's finally been knocked out, but Arkham City is definitely my favorite of the three. I think like the story is the best of the three, and like for what a lot of people like about Arkham Asylum being kind of like more confined, I like the more open nature of City. But anyway. So like I've always wanted to play Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League because I've always loved what Rocksteady has done. It's in the Arkham verse. So like the Batman in this game is the Batman from the Arkham games. But I was like, based on the reviews, based on that you play as the Suicide Squad, which I've yelled about on the show before, like they fucking suck. I don't know why anyone would ever want to be them. But I was like, you know what? The game is free. I have Amazon Prime Gaming. I might as well give it a shot. And I played about 2.5, 3 hours of this game. I wanted so desperately to at least kill one member of the Justice League so I could give oh, maybe they'll blow me away with like a boss fight. Maybe like the nugget here is the boss fight, but I couldn't get there. Like I looked at the walkthrough on IGN to see how far I was from killing the first one. I was in the middle of chapter 2, and you don't kill any of the Justice League until the end of chapter 3. And looking at like the mission, there was like 14 missions between then and now. And every fucking mission is the same in this game. You pick between one of the 4 Suicide Squad members. For some reason, all of them have a fucking machine gun, and you just shoot the most bland fucking aliens that are all basically the same. Like there's one like, oh, you want to shoot its legs to break its shield, and then like you'll kill it that way. Or like another one, you'll like counter it. Like they try to like do the Arkham thing where you counter somebody, but you counter it by shooting it with just a different button, but it's still shooting a gun. It is like this game is the epitome of like square peg in a round hole. Like there's so many cool ideas here on paper. Like this idea that Brainiac has taken over all of the Justice League. They're all evil. And now you have to kill them or else the world's going to end. Like that's a cool idea. We've seen like Injustice. Like we've seen these like, oh, Superman's bad. Now we have like The Boys, a whole show about what if
Right,
Superman was
right,
bad. Like
right.
this is a story that's kind of at this point kind of rote, but
Sure.
this game is like capital R wrote the whole time. Like every mission feels the same. All the environments feel the same. Like I will say the game is like kind of stunning to look at. Like, but that's a Rocksteady game. Like they're
Right,
always
right.
gonna make, and like it's such a shame because some of the dialogue is genuinely very funny, but I just don't fucking care because
Mhm.
it's dialogue between King Shark and Captain Boomerang. Like, fuck you. Like, I just don't care about these characters. Why are you forcing me to do this?
Okay, so one of the big theories we had, I'm curious to put this to the test now, but maybe we don't know since you couldn't make it far enough. But our biggest theory was like that this game was supposed to be a single player game, and then they were like, fuck, we have to now expand this into, something different that's
Yeah.
worse and not Arkham. Like, do you think that that's
I
true?
do. I
Yeah.
do feel like there are things like, again, I only played 2.5, 3 hours. Like I really don't have a ton to pull from, but like the way that you traverse, like for
Mhm.
some of them makes sense. Like Deadshot has a jetpack. So like it makes sense that you can just like fly around as Deadshot. And like they have this mechanic where like you can only fly for a certain amount of time, and then you have to like press a button to essentially like give yourself a second like bar to use of stamina. But then once that second bar is done, you have to touch the ground or the roof or whatever to like start over. But like it makes sense for someone like Deadshot. It makes sense for, I guess, in theory, Captain Boomerang because he has the Speed Force or whatever. But like for Harley, there's just like this. Oh, she in like the beginning of the game, you go through this like museum that like has a bunch of stuff from previous Arkham games in it, and she's like steals this thing from Batman like in the museum. So now she basically web slings like Spider-Man, where like you just shoot the grapple hook to this like drone that follows you around the whole game. It's like I feel like no one had a good idea for how to make Harley not feel terrible to play
Right.
as. So they're like, oh, let's just like kind of let her fly too. Or like there's just so many things in this game. And like so one of the at the beginning of the game, my very first impression was like, oh, Cayman might fuck with this game. Like there's some of the game, like some
Wow.
of the gunplay. No. This is complimentary. Some of the gunplay, like the first 10 minutes is like, oh, the gunplay is fun. Like this, one of that first mission, or not the first mission, a first mission in the museum, like, light spoilers. Batman is like hunting you essentially. It's like, it's one of the only missions that I played that actually felt like a little different. But and like it keeps like forcing you to like change different characters because normally you can just play the whole game as one character, it seems.
Right.
But like it felt like they were kind of trying to do like maybe something a little different, and then you get out and you're just doing the same thing that you always do. Like it feels like that was kind of a micro example of this. Like we had an idea, that idea didn't work, and now we have to like we've already put $200 million into this game, so now we got to figure out a way to make this game like last and keep people around. So I guess let's just have another mission where you just shoot more things on the bunch of rooftops, and like there's a counter, like you have 15 enemies left to kill. It's like it's just like Monster Closet type bullshit, and it feels like this game could have worked as another Batman Arkham game. The rest of the Justice League is evil, and you have to figure out, and maybe you team up with the Suicide Squad, but like it feels like, and maybe this is just because it's Rocksteady and a lot of their systems and like the people that worked there, like same ideologies and whatever, but like some of the stuff feels pulled right out of the Arkhamverse, like in terms of mechanics, but it's just forced into a shooter. Like it doesn't, it's so dissonant. So much of the game is so dissonant. So yeah, I had to quit. Like I wanted so badly to at least get like a little bit of the way through, but this game is just not fun. Like it does the thing that like the Avengers did. Marvel's Avengers were like, okay,
Right.
here's a mission, and do you want to do
Okay.
this mission easy, medium, or hard? It's like, okay, I'll try hard because maybe it'll be fun if it's a challenge, and it's still not fucking fun.
Okay. I take a bit of umbrage with this
Okay.
because I do feel like,
Yeah.
and I think this is the difference here, is I do feel like the story in Marvel's Avengers wasn't bad. The single
Sure.
player story missions where you got to play as like all the different heroes kind of going through like big events, that was a lot of fun. And
Sure.
people, and I always dislike when people get so hung up on it that like, yes, you're not wrong. The rest of the game sucked.
Yeah.
But like that story, you still got 12 hours out of it. I know it's not like some crazy long length, but like don't shit on the game entirely just because you're mad about the second part. That being said, it seems like there's not that here though. Like it's not baked in where you have like the shit is separated. Like the bathroom's not in your kitchen.
Right.
But there's no door on the bathroom.
Yeah, the main difference I feel, because I played through the entire campaign of the Avengers, I just didn't do any of the post game content.
Right. So no
but
need.
like the Avengers, it had that like hub world feel where like you're in whatever fucking base, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna go do this mission in this area. It's a very kind of linear situation in this like little zone. Once the mission's over, I'm back to base, whatever. It's not like that here.
Right.
Like there is a base that like a base of operations, but it seems like you can just go to a mission on the other side of the map, do the mission. And then like, sometimes it'll probably bring you back to the Hall of Justice or wherever. I forget what it's called. I think it's the Hall of Justice. But yeah, there is more synergy in terms of gameplay and narrative. Like it's more like an Arkham game or like an Uncharted game.
Like it's
where,
baked in. Like it's
baked
more
in.
like Destiny where
it's baked in.
Right.
But I think in Avengers, like a good thing for the Avengers compared to this game is that like, yeah, the story here, I feel like when I'm getting cutscenes, like I said, sometimes the dialogue is fun. Sometimes like it can be entertaining, but because I don't care about the characters, I'm having trouble caring about the story. And to be fair to the game, I didn't get far enough in to really get a ton of story. If I played 3 hours, I probably got 20 minutes of like actual story content.
You don't have to be like to be fair to the game. You don't have to give this game shit. If the gameplay sucks, Patrick.
Yeah.
The gameplay sucks hard enough for you to stop playing 3 hours in.
Yeah.
Then look.
I mean, this is an easy 1 out of 5 for me.
Right. Fuck
like,
this game.
Basically. The game fucking sucks. And it's like, one of these days, if I have a couple hours, I might throw on YouTube, like the cinematic story part of it, just to see like, does it at least tell a cool story? Because I know when the reviews came out, some people were like, the story here is cool. But like, and you can already tell, I'm going a bit long here, but back to the point of like, they put so much money into this game.
Right.
Because like it's visually like, and like the menus, like that side of it is so like, it looks so good. But when I opened up the game the second of 2, it was like, now that you've played the game, we're going to feed you a trailer to try to get you to buy the Joker as like the season pass or whatever. And it's like a fucking comic book. Like it's not even an animated thing. Like I think by that point they were like, we probably don't have the budget to actually animate a full fucking thing about why you can play as the Joker. So here's like, it's giving like 2008.
Has Rocksteady laid anyone off yet?
I don't know. I mean, fucking would say to this industry, probably. I can't remember off the top of my head if they've had any layoffs. But if they haven't, and like I hate saying it because I never want anyone to lose their job, but like I don't see a positive future for Rocksteady.
Well, right. I'm not saying that people should lose their job either. If anything, like, look, they're part of WB. Don't lay people off. Like, transition them to other teams within the studio. Yeah. My question is, like, there's no way that this was financially successful or even viable for WB.
No chance.
That is the death blow to 90% of developers in this industry. That is a death blow, making one game that doesn't sell well. They're that rare 10%, they exist, but Platinum Games probably.
I'm trying to see. As of a month ago, there was a story on TechSpot that said, or it calls it a $200 million failure. That's just the headline. I don't know if that is like they made like, let's say $100 million and it cost $300 million. They definitely didn't make $100 million on this game. I don't know like what that means, but yeah, I'm sure this game has cost them so much money. Because here's the thing, a game like this, a games as a service with a game like a battle pass and all that kind of thing, I feel like you can normally tell as a consumer
Right.
how a game is faring, how quickly it goes on sale. And like this game came out in February and I could get it, and everyone that has Amazon Prime could get it for free for like 4 days. So they're just saying, we're going to eat $70 in the hope that you download this, like it, and give us money for a battle pass, because then we're at least making something from you, because previously you weren't going to pay us anything for this game.
Do you think, how many people do you think actually subscribe to the battle pass?
I really would be shocked if it was considerable. Like there's
Is Jordan in the chat right now? Jordan, if you're
was
in
earlier,
Jordan, if you're in the chat, can you just look up Steam numbers for this? Just tell me like how many concurrent players today were on Suicide Squad. Please, someone can find this.
Be shocked if it's more than like a couple thousand, to be honest. And even that, like I don't see where someone, and this sounds so harsh, but I just don't see where someone could find fun in this game. Like it doesn't click for me. Like I can play something like Concord, which we'll probably talk a little bit about before we move on from what we're playing, which this show might just become a whole what we're playing show.
Good Lord.
But that, even though it doesn't click for me across the board, I can see objectively this is a good video game. Like it will check the boxes for people that like this kind of game. I don't see how this checks boxes for people. But yeah. Let us know if you can find out concurrence. Let's see, peak. Oh, fuck. John says peak 13,000. Past 24 hour average 270.
No.
Yeah, this game ain't getting, other than what they've already built for, I'm sure this game ain't getting anything more than that. No fucking way.
There's this just, I'm not going to digress on this, but this reminds me of like, has to be reimbursements that are going to take place when they don't fulfill any of the DLC, right?
You would think so. I wonder if they'll at least go as far as whatever people have pre-ordered for. I don't know like what the deluxe edition got people, if it just got them the first battle pass, if it just got them the Joker. I can't remember. I feel like there's one other character that they've announced is coming. I could be making that up though. I love making shit up on this podcast. It's what I do half the time. But I don't see how this game can live much longer. Yeah. They've already stopped doing weekly updates. That's something that they've already stopped, like killed. Like they're not checking in with tweaks and shit every week. They're just going to be supporting it from like a game breaking standpoint.
God, that's fucking blows, man.
Yeah. So yeah, don't play Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League unless you just hate yourself, which is unfortunate to say, but it's the truth. Cayman, why don't we give a quick little update?
Patrick.
On Concord, and then let's jump into the first news story. Because we played over the weekend Concord, and it had an open beta. Last week was a semi-closed beta. It was just anyone that had PS Plus or that pre-ordered the game. Last weekend, or this past weekend, anyone with a PlayStation or Steam could play the beta. You, myself, and our guest from last week, John, aka GWT Maury, played for like 2.5, 3 hours. What'd you think?
Yeah, look, it's a cool game. I'm not a hero shooter guy. I do like a good FPS. I feel like this was a good FPS. I feel like the gunplay felt a lot like not a watered down Destiny, but just like a different version of Destiny that felt more insular, for if that makes any sense.
It does. It does.
But it played good, and I liked the amount of characters. I liked the diversity in the characters because it did make me want to continue to try new characters and see which one blended better with my play style, which was terrible because I'm not good at the game.
Yeah,
I am very bad at the game.
You and I struggled. I also struggled big time.
We're not good at these games. With that, and I think that's important to say because I'm not going to pre-order this game.
Yeah,
and even if it was like super low priced, I mean, I might pick it up then. But I think ultimately, this is a game that like the only driving factor would be is if we had a group that we would be doing this regularly with, like Helldivers, right? Not my type of game. I worry that because of the $40 price point, regardless of how much you get in the game proper at that,
Sure.
I do worry that it is going to be a hard sell to get people to come over unless they're already diehard, hero shooters or hero shooter fans, which I feel like the way that Overwatch got to be that successful was by building an audience of casuals into people who played all the time. I don't know if this game is going to do the same. And I feel like Sony's marketing on it is suffering right now because I don't know what they want this to be.
Yeah. I have a sneaking suspicion because I totally agree with you. And I have this sneaking suspicion that so this game comes out August 23rd, a month from today. I have a sneaking suspicion if it's not by then in September or October, this will be the PlayStation Plus game of the month. Because I think this game, meaning like you'll get it for free if you're on PlayStation Plus, I think this game is good, and I think people that like hero shooters will like this game, and it feels like it has enough to keep people coming back. But I also agree that, like, I just worry that this game might not bring in an audience day one, and that's the trick with these games, with anything multiplayer, but specifically hero shooters. If you can't hit the ground running and build an audience day one, because I don't remember the date off the top of my head, but it's either October or November, Black Ops 6 comes out. That game is going to bring a huge chunk, if not the majority, of the audience of every single multiplayer shooter, at least for the first couple weeks. It's the biggest game in the world every time it comes out. And it sucks up all of the energy of multiplayer games whenever it happens, other than perhaps Fortnite. And so I feel like if they can't build an audience in those first couple months, that this game won't have the legs. But I think it could have the legs with how good it feels as someone who doesn't like this genre.
True, yeah.
But
no,
we'll see.
I think that's, I guess, my question to you, and I know we want to cover some other stuff, so like I'll leave you with one question for me.
Yeah.
That question might have just completely evaporated from my brain. No, it hasn't. It's come back, Patrick. It's come back. Okay, if they make it free to play,
yeah,
how do you make it free to play? Do you offer like a limited number of characters, and then you have to buy more characters, or up to $40? How do you do that without absolutely alienating the fan base that paid $40 for it up front?
That is a good question. I feel like I don't know, with this kind of a game where the $40 price tag gets you, I think John told us last week, 16 characters. I think it's like 5 game modes, something like that. It's all, X number of maps. I don't remember how many maps there are, but so part of that allure of paying $40 is you get all of that. You don't have to worry about unlocking stuff in the battle pass. But so going from that to free to play, I don't know off the top of my head what makes sense. I feel like the only thing, like when you look at like an Overwatch, which I just recently, their free to play model was like, okay, you guys can have the characters. You don't have to pay for the characters anymore. There'll be other things that you have to unlock throughout Overwatch. I heard that on a different podcast, because it's like, yeah, that experience, I'm sure, completely, it must be such a hard thing as a developer to balance how to keep the people that already give you and are actively giving you money happy, but still bringing in a new audience. But sometimes time heals that, right? We're like, okay, the game has been $40 for a year. Now it's going to be free to play. Yeah. The people that paid $40 for the most part paid $40 a year ago. They don't really care anymore. They got their.
I mean, you got to think like Rocket League did the same thing,
right?
They went free to play PlayStation Plus for the first month. If you got it, then great. If you didn't, then you had to pay. I think it was like $20 or $30, right?
Yeah.
A couple years later, boom, they drop it free to play. If you bought the game or had it the first one, you come with like 30 or 40 legacy cards.
Gotcha.
That people who now have come on have to pay outright or hope that they win in a loot box.
Gotcha. Okay.
So like it could work. I think to your point, like you said, they have to somehow now survive to the point that they can do that without fucking over and then causing an absolute riot. for the people that
Yeah.
are their main bread and butter.
For sure. And I think if we don't get PlayStation Plus like game of the month, either September or October, I feel like they're going to do like at least once a month for the first few months. Like this weekend's free for everybody. If you have a PlayStation, you can play the game this weekend for free in hopes that they're like, oh, I had such a good time. I want to play it again on Monday. Let's buy it.
Yeah.
But they're gonna have to do something, man, because I just don't know that it's gonna have the stuff. The benefit that they do have is that releases are a little quiet for the next few weeks in terms of like we have Star Wars Outlaws in August. We have like some like big single player games, but there aren't a ton of like high profile multiplayer games until Black Ops 6. So they have a bit of a thing there, but yeah, so that's Concord. Let us know, are you going to be playing Concord when it launches? Because, you know, if there are enough people out there listening that want to play with us, I'll consider getting it. But as of right now, I'm not getting this game at launch just because I'm not going to play enough. Like I played a good amount of Helldivers, but I would even argue that I don't know that I put in $40 worth of time in Helldivers 2 earlier this year. So I don't want to do that again.
Fair.
Came in something that we won't be putting any more time into, if any of us even put any time into it, is the Halo show on Paramount Plus, because that has been canceled. I'm pulling from Katie Campione at Deadline. The news comes a few months after season 2 of the live action video game adaptation premiered on the streamer in February. Amblin Television, Xbox, and 343 Industries are currently shopping Halo in hopes of finding it a new home. Deadline understands. Quote, we are extremely proud of this ambitious series and would like to thank our partners at Xbox, 343 Industries, and Amblin Television, along with showrunner and executive producer David Weiner. Let's put it. His fellow executive producers, the entire cast led by Pablo Schreiber as Master Chief, and the amazing crew for all their outstanding work. We wish everyone the best going forward, a spokesperson at Paramount Plus said in a statement on Thursday. In season 2, Master Chief John 117 led his team of elite Spartans against the alien threat known as the Covenant, blah, blah, blah. He had to find the Halo. It just gives you the synopsis of that season. But the show's dead and they're trying to find it elsewhere. Cayman, I have 2 questions for you. You can answer them in whatever order you choose. Question number 1.
Yes.
Do we think this show has any chance of finding a new home outside of Paramount Plus? Question 2. I don't mean to be 6 years old, but how awful do you think it is to have Wiener as your last name? Go.
Okay. Let me answer the first question first.
Yep.
Yes, I do actually. I do think that there is a world in which this gets picked up. I think something like Amazon would scoop this up in a heartbeat and then go in and be like, for us to take this over, we're firing your entire writing team.
Sure.
And we're bringing in our own people and we're retooling this, and this. I do think that it is very possible that it gets picked up again. Mainly because of that one point. From everything I've heard, the writing team fucked the duck. Yeah. And this is, or grease the goose, as they say.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's the phrase for this. Second question. What do you think it feels like to be a man with the name Wiener to ruin Halo with Master Cheeks?
There is something poetic, right, about executive producer Wiener being behind this failure of a show.
Being behind some Master Cheeks?
But exactly. With some Wiener behind some Master Cheeks. I can't. Again, I don't mean to be 6 years old, but come on, dude.
There's no shame in being 6 years old every once in a while.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Do you think what are the odds that he pronounces his last name Weiner?
Look, even if his name was Wiener, you can't have a name that's Wiener. You change it to Weiner. You're an executive producer. Like, if it was me, I would be telling people my last name was Weiner.
Yeah.
And then just hoping no one would be like, you fucking are telling a lie.
Yeah.
If you're an executive producer, there's no one above you to tell you that you're
true. That's
right?
true. That's true.
So, you know what I'm saying is he has privilege I don't have.
Yeah.
He can change his name to Weiner.
Right.
But the one thing that the rich people don't understand is the people on the bottom, Patrick.
Yeah.
We like to shoot our arrow straight up in the air. Okay.
Yeah. The people below the Wiener like to shoot the arrow up into the Wiener.
These guys are huge.
I wonder. So you said that you think it will land somewhere. Maybe
Yeah. Yes, I think to get back on track. Yes, I do think it'll land somewhere. And I would put, if you put a gun to my head, you said
I will.
we're putting a million on it, Cayman. I would say Amazon.
Okay. I feel like, thank you, Rabbit128, for getting rid of the bot in the chat. I don't know. I'm less optimistic about this show. I watched season 1 and there was some stuff there that I was like, there could be something here. But like, you really hit the nail on the head. Like, the writing of this show was just so bad. Like, so much of it just like didn't feel like Halo. So much of it just didn't feel like it mattered. So maybe like I don't know, a writing team could potentially fix that, but I feel like my assumption in a situation like this is the team that made the show are the ones trying to get it sold. So they're the ones like, you know, this is what we envision for season 3. And I would worry that it might be too much of a gamble to say, all right, we're going to do it, but only if you let us call the shots.
So you're asking me, or like the way that the question was positive, maybe I misheard it, is that will this be picked up with the same writing team? I think if that's the case, no. If you were to be like, someone's going to pick up Halo as a series again, I think that's maybe where my head was.
Sure.
Because think about it like this, Patrick. Let me give you the greatest example.
Hit me with the greatest example of all time.
Judge Dredd.
Okay. Go on.
Sylvester Stallone does the Judge Dredd back in the 90s. That movie is unequivocally one of the worst movies ever made. It is primo trash cinema in the sense that it is really, really bad. It is just an absolute affront to the character of Judge Dredd through and through. Sylvester Stallone never wears his helmet the entire movie. Or, well, no, I take that back. He wears it for like a very brief moment as like an homage, and then to me, he takes it off. You never see it again. It is bad, right? Okay, you never see Judge Dredd's face.
Sure.
So that's a thing. Flash forward, Patrick.
Yeah.
Carl Urban.
Yep.
Carl Urban does Dredd.
Yep.
The reboot of the series. Now, don't get me wrong, didn't perform well. Yeah. But if you look back on it and you look at a bunch of people agree the movie was fucking amazing. It just, for some reason at the box office, I don't know if it's just the name Judge Dredd, if it was when it was released. I think it was like 2013, maybe. Actually, even earlier than that, maybe like 2011. It could have been like just, it was dumped. Who knows what happened? Either way, it wasn't critically panned at all. It just, no one showed up to watch it.
2012.
Okay, let's go right in the middle. Just no one came to watch it. But the thing was, everyone looks back on it fondly now. It's got like cult status now. Dredd never takes his helmet off the entire fucking time. Yeah. What I'm saying is, Patrick, we can have a version of Halo where we don't get to see booty cheeks. Okay. Maybe we get to see some hog. Okay.
I mean, here's my thing, Cayman. Keep the helmet on, but still
show me them cheeks.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we can still show the cheeks with just the helmet on.
Right. Never take the helmet off. That's the kicker. That's where they fucked up, Patrick. They took the helmet off and didn't show his hog.
Yeah. I mean, one of the main things in Halo is the vehicles are called warthogs.
So that's what I've been talking about this whole time.
It's right there, Cayman.
That's what I was saying the whole time.
Show the hog.
Show the hog.
Show me them cheeks.
It's easy, people. Yeah, this I will be interested to see if it comes back, but I don't buy it. John asked the question: should they fire the actor, Pablo Schreiber, as Master Chief?
Unless you're bringing in Liv Schreiber,
right? I don't think he was the problem. However, he also didn't like excite me about the show. Right. I like him as an actor. Like, I've liked him in just about anything I've seen him in. He's not someone that I go out of my way to watch in something.
Glenn Powell. You wouldn't be able to get that man in a helmet. It would just burn off.
Yeah, no, he Hollywood wouldn't let his
No.
face be behind a mask. Although I gotta say, if Rose is watching, she's probably gonna say this in the chat. Rose has brought up a very compelling theory to me that I subscribe to.
Yeah.
That Glenn Powell has the face of a me. MII. Like if you look at his face, his features are just so like small and close together.
They are.
It's really giving a Nintendo Me character.
Yeah. Honestly,
Look at those two things side by side, and I think Rose got the W on that one.
Holy shit.
Yeah, consider it. Consider it. Soak it in. Soak it up. Go see Twisters out now. Or don't. I don't fucking care. Cayman, let's end the show with some bad news.
Let's talk about
What better way to end the show with some bad news? And
Since-
I feel like we're a little over an hour. Rose says his mouth is just a line and he has no lips. You're not wrong.
True.
You're not wrong. Humble Games has reportedly been closed. This is something that we've talked about a lot on the show. This industry seems to be obsessed with layoffs, and we've gotten even more today. So I'm pulling from Tom Ivan at VGC. Indie publisher Humble Games has reportedly been closed. Humble Games is the publishing division of San Francisco, California-based Humble Bundle, which was acquired in 2017 by Ziff Davis through its IGN Entertainment subsidiary. It has published over 20 titles since 2019, including Forager, Wizard of Legend, Temtem, last year Signalis, and just last week or 2 weeks ago, sometime in July, Bo, Path of the Teal Lotus. Like they've published some bangers. VGC went on to publish an update saying that they weren't in fact closed, but they were just restructured and faced layoffs. So this is what the update said. It's a quote from, I believe, Ziff Davis. In these challenging economic times for indie game publishing, Humble Games has made the difficult but necessary decision to restructure our operations. This decision was not made lightly. It involved much deliberation and careful thought with the goal of ensuring the stability and support of our developers and ongoing projects. Additionally, the restructuring of operations at Humble Games will have no impact of operations at Humble Bundle. We're acutely aware of the profound impact this decision has on our team members at Humble Games and deeply empathize with everyone affected. Our team's contributions have been world-class and invaluable, supporting the launch of our games since we started publishing in 2017. We're committed to navigating this transition with as much empathy and understanding as possible. Supporting our development partners and assisting former team members remains our top priority. We are committed to making this transition as smooth as possible for everyone involved. Thank you for your support and compassion during this challenging period. It is deeply appreciated, end quote. I feel like if they were your top priority, you wouldn't have laid them off. That's point number one. Point number two, there's another update, not on VGC, but on a site called Aftermath, that it seems like maybe this isn't, it seems like maybe Ziff Davis is trying to save face a little bit and make it seem like it's a restructuring, because this is what the Aftermath article, a chunk of the Aftermath article said. A spokesperson from Humble Games told Aftermath that this is a restructuring, not a closure, mirroring Humble Games' statement on the matter on Twitter. However, considering that all employees are being laid off and a third-party company is taking over their duties, what remains will be Humble Games in name only. Former employees are incensed by what they perceive to be damage control tactics on Ziff Davis's part. Quote, Ziff is trying to spread the idea that it's a restructuring to save face, but that's a lie. No one from HG survived the layoffs, nor will they have anything to do with game launches moving forward, end quote. Like, obviously we are not, that's the end of the story. This is me now. Obviously we are not truly in this industry, Cayman. We react to stuff. We talk, like we follow the games industry. We have our own insight from just being a fan of this medium for like 20 years or more. And we listen to a lot of podcasts. Like we hear the people that have access talk about it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we don't really have like the actual inside knowledge of how the games industry works, just from what we've seen as an outsider. But like, it feels like there is no hope that this will just keep happening. And I don't know that there is a solution at this point.
So, okay, I'm going to give you a story of something happening right now. You probably don't know about this. This is a very niche thing. Saks Fifth Avenue. Do you know that store?
I do know that store.
Okay. Saks Fifth Avenue currently is behind, if I'm not mistaken, it's like 75,000 vendors or something like that.
Okay.
They haven't paid for like anything for it. Like they're just behind on, and it's ranging things of like, you know, $15,000 here, $40,000 there, whatever. They're just behind. They're just not paying their vendors anything.
Oh, wow.
And they're currently in the process of acquiring Marcus Neiman or Neiman Marcus for $2 billion. Okay. I know this you're going to say, Cayman, this, what the fuck does this have to do with video games? They don't give a flying shit.
Yeah.
The Keith Davis doesn't give a flying shit. They're either beholden to one of two things. They're either beholden to their own payout, or they're beholden to shareholders.
Right.
And I don't think you need to be deeply embedded or in the know with a certain industry to be able to say like corporations corporate. That's what they do.
Yeah.
You know, I've experienced layoffs multiple times in my life, one very recently. And I think one of those things is like, I don't think that this is the video games industry needs to be fixed, though I do think there's problems in it. I do think that it doesn't help the fact that games take 6 years and $300 million to produce. I don't think that, like, it's not a movie that gets made over the course of 4 months for $200 million.
Right.
If it tanks, we just lost some money, but we can recoup it because our next movie is going to make 800 million, you know?
Right.
So that's not how video games work. So I do think that needs to be fixed. That needs to be addressed, how that's going to function. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, the sound of this, especially from the part 3 to the story, is that we're wiping out and bringing in a third party to manage this for us because it is most likely significantly cheaper to do so.
Right.
And so I think this is a corporate issue, not a video games issue.
For sure. And like it just, yeah, it's so disheartening because I mentioned at the top, like they just published Bo Path of the Teal Lotus, which a member of our community, friend of the show, Cognitive Clips, played and reviewed in our Discord and said it was really good. Like he said, the game, it's the type of game that not only engages me with the story they're presenting, but also makes me want to read more about the myths and folklore that inspired it. I'd wager the majority of major characters have a direct influence from myth, which is super fun to see gamified for the story they're telling. He goes on like, there's some issues like with platforming, things like that, but he gave it a 4 out of 5. Like he said, it's a great video game. Recommended it to anyone that likes the genre, or like if you're just interested in like the kind of the general vibe, that you should try it out. So like they're making, or rather they're publishing games that are hitting. Like Signalis last year was one of my favorite games of last year. Complete out of the blue kind of shock, but again, like an indie, like Resident Evil, like in a 2D like isometric retro style. And so it's like, even when you're making really cool fucking shit, doesn't matter, because the people that are in charge, they are the ones that control whether or not you get to keep your job. And especially when it's like you're a company that's owned by a corporation like Ziff Davis, it's like, I feel like maybe that's the answer. We need to get everyone needs to go indie.
Right. I mean, but then you run into the issue of everyone goes indie. How do you make the money to be able to sustain yourself to release a AAA game?
No, for sure.
So then I guess the question is we can sit here and we can say like, yes, I fully understand, and we can really go with it and just be like, we will only play indie games going forward, no more AAA games, or we just have to understand the fact that like this fucking sucks,
right?
And get big corporations out of our shit.
Yeah.
Figure out a way to do it. I don't know.
I think the reality is, as long as commerce and art are this, like those two, like they're trying to make money on art, it's never gonna be fucking fixed. Like it's always going to be in this kind of fucking society where
in a society, Patrick.
Oh, I said the thing, didn't I?
You said the thing.
I didn't mean to, but I did. But there's just like, it's the kind of thing where the issue is so much deeper that it just sucks that on this show, we just like every time it feels like we turn around, like there have been so many layoff stories that I just haven't talked about on the show, because it's like every show is going to be about a layoff. Like chances are every single week that we have a podcast, there has been a layoff that I just haven't brought up. And I bring up some of them. I bring up the ones that feel, which like is fucked up, that feel worth talking about because there's just so many of them at this point. It's really
there's also, and I think this is another thing that we can all like kind of pump the brakes on. I don't know if anyone really even acknowledged it in 2020, oddly enough, because or maybe not oddly enough, because so much was happening around us. But like the economy always takes a dip right before an election.
Sure,
like
for sure.
Presidential term election. We're going to get a little historical and economical for a second.
Yeah.
The economy always tends to take a dip. The reason being is because the market gets shaky on who's going to be the next president.
Right.
Doesn't matter who. Doesn't matter who the incumbent is. Doesn't matter how strong the economy is at the point or any of this, right? We always see a dip because people panic and freak out because God knows whoever the next person in line that shows up is going to just ruin shit.
Yeah.
Never fucking happens.
Right.
But we always do it. We always get our panties in a wad. And that should just make you realize that the stock market is a fucking joke.
Correct.
But like this year, I think has been, while yes, I do attribute some of that to like this, I guess the election year or whatnot, but like this year does feel rough.
Yeah.
And I feel like you combine both already a rough year and then the other of like the market instability XYZ, it sucks. And I feel for all the people impacted. It's not fun being laid off. I know that. Fuck, I know that.
Yeah.
But I don't know, man. I think at the end of the day, like there's still good out there. There's still, there's still good companies that are making stuff, and you still see there's still stories you hear with things like Nintendo, like CEOs in Japan cutting their salaries to keep people on. That stuff still happens. I just think the bad news of all of this stuff is also it just permeates the market in a way I think that's more readily accessible to upset people than like the good news for it.
For sure. Well, ending on a little bit of a light note, right as we're closing out, the handsome GWT Maury in the chat. He says he wants us both biblically. I assume we are them in this situation. Oh, wrong one. Fucking this computerized prick is back. Jesus. Oh wait, no, I see. No, it. Hold on. What happened here? Here we go. He wants us both biblically. God, you sexy MFs. I missed you. We're right here. We didn't go anywhere. But Cayman, that's our show.
It is. This is a sad way to. Well, I guess we got redemption.
Yeah,
we got redemption.
We did. We were redeemed.
Do we have any like good to share? Is there anything positive to share right now?
No.
Yeah, man, I'm drawing a blank.
I don't think so. I mean, I guess one good thing to share is that there are some good fucking games to play right now, and that is what we talk about on the show.
That's true.
Like I talked about for what felt like 3 hours at the top of the show. I just kept on rambling. Dungeons of Hinterberg. Go play it. What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
What are you doing? But thanks for being here, Cayman. Thanks for being here, John. We got 2 Johns in the chat. We're doubled up on Johns. Jordan in the chat. The 3 J's we call them. Cayman, where can folks at home follow you?
According to AI.
Yeah.
In a society ruled by AI, the Dumpster Boy at Twitter is the greatest handle of any social media account of all time. That is Dumpster Boy. This is the Dumpster Boy on Twitter. You can find me there. Not really talking much, but having a panic attack most every time I open.
Yep. Exactly. You can follow me at Patrick Schwag. You can follow the pod at Spot Games Pod on Twitter or at Spotlight Games Pod everywhere else. That's Instagram, TikTok, right here on Twitch, YouTube. We will be back tomorrow night unless something fucking crazy happens. 8 p.m. Eastern time, right here for a little Last of Us Part 2 with Rose. We're trudging. We're gonna make some progress tomorrow night. We'll be back next week. We have some fun things in the works, folks. Beginning of August, we're going to be doing a little get the band back together, a little JK, PKJ. Sounds like I had a stroke, but really I'm talking about JK Games, Jordan, aka Cognitive Clips, and myself and Cayman. a little fantasy critic check-in, aka how badly is Cayman spanking us,
Right.
spanking our bare butt, balls, and back. But until then, thanks for being here. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, all that fucking bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.